Hello, this is Kelvin Davis, your multifamily newbie. I want to welcome you back to my channel. We're talking about the funnel system, and we used an acronym LAPS, L-A-P-S. We talked about leads. Now we're going to talk about the A, which is analysis. And your analysis is going to involve several different things, but the main things that I wanted to talk to you about today, or the main things that you'll be concerned with, are income and expense, which will ultimately lead to your cash flow. And a lot of people have it confused as concerning cash flow as to what it is. And I've owned rental properties in the past and I had it confused, but I wanted to share with you that what I thought was cash flow, I would basically take the income, the rent, and subtract the mortgage or expense, the mortgage, and I figured that the difference between the rent and the mortgage was money that I could put into my pocket. That was my cash flow. Well, the fact of the matter is that that's in fact what we're going to call phantom cash flow, because it's not cash flow in reality. The income on a property, and we're talking about multifamilies, can come from several different places, including the rent, of course. But you could get income from, if there was an area where you could put a washer and dryer machine, coin operated, there's income that can come from there. If there are storage spaces at the property, you could charge the tenants or other people in the community even to store things there. That's another possible source of income. So there are several different possible or potential sources of income that you would want to take into consideration and factor into your analysis on whether or not a property works for you. Now, as far as expenses are concerned, the mortgage is one expense, but there are several potential expenses that you need to take into consideration. Some apartment complexes provide water service to the tenants. That's something that you need to take into consideration. Now, if you're able to have the service individually metered out to each individual unit, then that's the preferable way to go. But if it's a deal where there's one meter and it feeds the entire property, then you'll have to figure a way on separating that out or charging for the water service, working into the rent. But that's a potential expense that you'll need to take into consideration. Another potential expense is the vacancy. You may not have 100% vacancy, 100% occupancy 100% of the time. And you want to take into consideration whether or not the apartment, 1, 2, or 3 of the apartments are occupied. And for any time that an apartment is not occupied, one of the units is not occupied, you need to take that into consideration and figure on a percentage that you want to hold back from the money that you're receiving from the income as an expense, so that when there's a vacancy, not if, but when there's a vacancy, you'll have money set to the side to basically fill that hole or fill that gap. Also, you may have a landscaping expense, to keep the yard up. You may have expense as concerning, you definitely want to have money put to the side for maintenance and repairs, because as people come and go, you're going to have repair expense. As people move in and out of units, you're going to have to go in after them, clean up, fix up. You may have to do new paint, spruce up the flooring, clean the carpets if you have carpets in there. At some point in time, you may have to come into the unit while they're still there and fix a leaky pipe or fix a hole in the wall, so those type of things happen. You want to have money that comes out of that income on a monthly basis, so that at the end of whatever time period and these expenses, these repairs come up, normal repairs come up, you'll have money that you've had set aside to take care of those expenses. So these are the things that we need to take into consideration when we're considering expenses, not just the mortgage. And the mortgage, of course, is very important because you have your principal, your interest on the loan itself. Then you have most often in escrow or escrow within the mortgage, you're paying it at the same time is basically what I'm saying. The property taxes as well as the homeowner's insurance or property insurance. And we're talking about fourplex, threeplex, duplex. So this is going to be considered a residential mortgage, and most often they require that you have the property taxes as well as homeowners insurance tied in with the mortgage payment. So that's what I mean by escrow. So in our analysis, we want to take into consideration not only the income that we're receiving, but also the expenses, the outgo, the outgo as concerning the property, so that when we go to calculate whether or not this is going to be a profitable deal for us, that's going to cash flow, that's going to put money in our pocket in opposition to taking money out of our pocket, we want to take these things into consideration when we're doing our analysis. Another thing with our analysis, we want to, again, make a determination on whether we're purchasing this property because of the income, the cash flow, or because of the potential appreciation. Now, there's going to be some appreciation one way or the other because, like I said, land, they aren't making any more of it. So it's a precious commodity. But there are some areas that appreciate much faster than other areas. And we'll look at those other areas and determine whether or not the cash flow is what we've determined we need to have to make it a good deal for us. Now, I've said if I can cash flow $150 to $200 per unit on my quadplex, then that's the deal that I want to give serious consideration. Your determination may be different. You may be interested more in appreciation. Maybe you know of something that's coming into a particular area in 2 to 5 years. And it doesn't matter to you so much that you're only making, $50 a month on the property, or that you're having to pay $100 to maintain your ownership of the property because you know that something's coming up and you'll be selling that property, in 5 years for, a nice check, a nice amount of money on top of what you paid for the property. So